Hi, this is Suchi, and in our today's video, we will be talking about the derived data types, and specifically, we will talk about list. So, let us start. Now, let me tell you, the purpose of having a list is the same as the purpose of having array in other programming languages. So, if we have a lot of data items, let's say hundreds or thousands of data items, then it is very difficult to maintain hundreds or thousands of variables. Instead of that, we can assign into a list. List will be having multiple items within the same name. So, for example, let's say animals. Animals is our list, and when we are defining a list, what we have to do is we have to add square braces. So if we add square brackets, it will automatically identify it as a list. So if we are going to print the type of this animals, we can see this is actually a list class. So by square braces, Python will identify the variable as list. Now we can have different type of items inside this list. So very first thing, we can have integer, we can have float, we can have string, we can even have list, dictionary, and other derived types as an element of the list. For simplicity, first let's start with Boolean, maybe true, false, true, true, true. So this is a Boolean type of list. This is Boolean only. Let me print the type of it. Let me name it add flags. So as you can see, the flags is a list, and if we will print the type of it, we can see this is again a list type. Now we can also have integer list. So the same way we can add integer values instead of Boolean values. Any number of integer values we can add, and we can say, we can check the type of this list. And you can see it is again a list. So instead of integer, we can also have float values. We can have string values also. So let me show you. As you can see, this is also a list. So if we will make it integer, if we will make it float, if we will make it string, it will give us the same. The type will again be a list. This is float only list. So as you can see, this is a float only list. Now let me add some other variable, that is maybe names. And it can have some names like any other name. Okay. So if we will check the value of this, I think I have misspelled this in a MES. So this is also a list. Now you might ask that do we need to have values or variables of same data type to create a list? The answer is no. We can mix these data types also. For example, I have a random list which might have some integer value, some float value, some string value, some float value, some Boolean value. It can have anything. It can also have duplicate values. As you can see, this 56 I am adding twice. I can do that. As you saw that in the Boolean list here. So it is having duplicate values. It can have duplicate values. Again, let me add Python here just to show you that duplicate values are allowed. We can have any value like this in a list. Even we can add another list within a list. So for example, here you can see this names is a list, right? So I can just add names as a list item, or even I can add a list like this. So this is also another list item. I can easily add any type of item in a list. So if I will check the type of this list, check the type of this variable, which I have declared right now, I can see this is again a list. And if I print this as well, let me just print it. So as you can see, this is our list. These are the list elements. As you can see, these names have been replaced with the value of this variable. So this is the value of this name variable. This has been replaced, and this is also one item of this list. And we are having the duplicate values as well. So this is how we can create our list in Python. Now, what about to check what is the length of this list? How many elements are there in this list? For example, here I have added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 elements in this list. So it should give me a length 12. Now you will say that, okay, this is also having three elements and this is also having 3 elements. So shouldn't we count them separately? The answer is no, because this is one single element of this list. So if I will check the length of this list, what I can see is the length should be 12. So as I can see, the length is 12. Just to simplify it, let me create another smaller list. And I will add maybe weights from here as an element of this list. Another I can do is I can add some random list here. And then I can also add some values. Now, if I print this list, you can see this is having this element, weights element, replaced with the value of weights, and then this is another element, and this is the third element. So it should have a length 3. So if I say print len sm list, I can see the length is 3. So let me increase the size so that you can see it better. So as you can see here, so this is how we have declared our list. We can check the type of list with the same type function, type method. And then we can have integer, we can have float, we can have string, we can have boolean, and we can have any other data type, any other variable of any data type in this as a part of this list. We can have them mixed all together and we can create a list. So this is how we can check the length of the list. And we can see that these elements, these items are considered as single item, considered as units. These are not actually, when we check the length, we are not actually considering the length of individual elements, and then we are just taking this as a single element, we are just taking this as a single element and any other element, whatever we have added into the list. Now, what about checking a particular index element? For example, if I want to access this 300 from this list, how I can do that? As you can see, the length is 3 and list has an index starting from 0. So generally, as you can see, this is the first element of the list. So to access this, what we have to do is the name of the list. We have to write the name of the list, and then we have to add square brackets and we have to add the index. As the index starts from 0, this will be 0, this will be 1, and this will be 2 here. So what I can do is, if I say 0, I can print weights. So let me run it. So this is printing the weights. If I say 1, it will print this list, 1, 2. So if I print this, okay, this is printing it. So let me copy it. And let me change it to 0 and change it to 2. So the third one should print 300. So if I comment them out, so you can see 300 is at the second index. So we have the indexing. We have the reverse indexing also. So we can have the negative indexes to access the list items. How? In Python, as we already have seen in case of strings, what we can do, we can use the negative indexes to access the elements from the end of the list. So for example, if we want to access the last element, we can say -1. So -1 will give us the last element of the list. -2 will give us the second last element of the list, and -3 will give us third last element of the list, and so on. So if I print this, you can see -1 is giving us 300, -2 is giving us 1, 2, -3 is giving us this value. As this list is having only 3 elements. Now what will happen if I try to access some index which is actually not existing in the list? So let's say, for example, I am trying to access SM list and the index 3. So if I try to do that, what should happen? It should throw an error. What is that error? Let me show you. So what it is saying? Index error. List index out of range. So this index does not actually exist in this list because this list length is 3. So it will be 0, 1, 2. So index 3 does not exist. So it is giving us index error. Now, what will happen if I give a -4 here? Let us check. Let me comment this out and let me show you what happens while I'm giving -4 here. Because these indexes are starting from -1, -2, -3. Sorry, -1, -2, -3. Now there is no -4 technically. So what should happen? if I run this code, it is again saying index error because list index out of range. There is no -4 here. So the same thing will happen for forward indexing and backward indexing. Now, let me tell you. So now we will take this random list because it is having a larger length. So we will work with this random list. Let me print this list here. As you can see, this list is having 12 elements. Now, what will happen if I want to access only the first 5 elements? So in list also, we can do a slicing. So if we want to do slicing, we want to slice the list. We want to cut it from a particular place. So how we can do is, we can add this, we can add square bracket after this, and then we will use the same formula. So first we will add the starting index. Second, we will add the ending index plus 1 because the last index is excluded while doing slicing. And then what we will do is, we will add the step size, just as we have done for strings. So let's say this is for 56 Python. I want this for 5 values, starting from 56 to 56. Now, as I have already mentioned, that the start index we can skip if we want to take from the start of the list, just like string. So if the start index is 0, we can also choose not to mention it, because by default it takes a 0 here as a start index. So we can mention it or we can skip it. Now what we want? We want 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Up to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 we want. So we will say 5. So it will take from 0 to less than 5 indexes. And then again, if we want to add a step size, we want all these elements. So we can add 1, or we can omit this because the default value is 1 for this step size. So for now, let me add it and let me print it, and I will show you that if we omit these 2 values also, we will get the same result. So as 0 is the default value, let me remove. So let me remove this also. And then let me run it. And as you can see, this is giving the same results because 0 is the default value for start index and 1 is the default value for step size. So simply it is returning this. Now, if I want to slice from this false to this part, this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values, or maybe this 4 values. Okay, this 4 values. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2. So from index number 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want 3, 4, 5, 6. What I will write here is, I'll just keep it here. Now I want it from the 3, index number 3. So the start index will be 3. And I want till 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want to, as I want to take it up to 6, I will add 7 because the upper index will be excluded. And this part I can omit because I want a step as 1. So I'll print it. As you can see, this is printing false, 56, true, Python. Now, if I just want this false and this true, I can also add a step size 2 so that it will skip 2. So after false, it will add after false, after 3, index number 3, what it will do? It will add 2. So 4, 5, it will go to 5. So 3, 5, and then 7 is excluded. So it will just give me false and true. So let me run it. So just let me run it without this one. And so as you can see, this is skipping. So this is how we can play with the step size and the indexes. Now, if I want to reverse the string, same strategy we can use. If we want to reverse the list, we can use the same strategy as we use in case of string. So what we will do is print this random list. Okay. And as we want the complete list, what we can do? If we do this, we just add colon and we skip the first index and the last index. So the default value of the last index is length of the list. So if we skip both the values, it will actually return the entire list. So it is returning the entire list, and then we are mentioning that step size is -1. So in that case, what it will do is it will just reverse the order of the list because step size is now -1. So as you can see, it has reversed the order. So let me just copy it here below. And as you can see, this is the original list and this is the reversed list. So we can easily do a reverse of the list with the step size changed to -1. If we want a sub list, if we want a sub part of this list, for example, we just want this part. So as we can see, if we take the reverse, if we take the negative index, then this is -1, this is -2, and this is -3. So this one will be -4, -5, and -6. So I will start from -6 and then -5, -4, -3. And then the higher index is this index, the second index is excluded. So I have to take it -2 so that it takes up to -3. So this is what our substring looks like. So if we will need to reverse this part only, then what we need to do is, as you can see, this is -6 and this is -3. But when we take it opposite way, then we have to start with -3. We have to start with -3. -6 -1 because we are going reverse. So it will become -7. And then we will run this. Let me comment this out. So then if we run this, we can get the reverse of this particular sub list. So this is how we can play with our slicing.